What if your front yard could tell a story, not just look pretty, but say something about who you are? What if a simple walkway, a vertical planter, or a curve in a path could transform not just your space, but your mood? Welcome to Home and Garden Borneo, where we believe every small outdoor space holds big potential. In this video, we're diving into beautiful, achievable front yard ideas for 2025, not just for looks, but to maximize every inch of your space in ways you may not have imagined. Every section in this video has its own timestamp, so feel free to jump to the ideas that speak to you. And if you see something you'd love to try at home, leave a comment. I'll share step-by-step DIY tutorials for you in the community tab. Maybe to you, I'm just another voice in a sea of creators. But behind this channel, there's a family, planting, building, dreaming. This video isn't mass-produced content. It's a piece of our life, quietly shared with the world. Every like, every share, every kind word you leave below helps keep that light burning. When you subscribe, you're not just supporting a channel. You're helping a real family grow their garden and their hope. Thank you for watching. Thank you for seeing the story behind the screen. EasyCare Front Yard Landscaping Ideas 2025. Some mornings, a front yard doesn't need to shout to be noticed. It just breathes a quiet welcome. The soft curve of a mulched bed, trimmed cleanly against fresh green lawn, tells a story of intention without effort. In the first garden, neatly placed evergreens and low perennials nestle into warm earth-toned bark mulch, guiding your eye gently from driveway to porch. There's no extravagance, just care. No extravagance, but peace. The kind of peace that makes you slow down before walking inside. And perhaps that's the most beautiful thing about a well-loved front yard. It doesn't have to be complex to be perfect. This kind of EasyCare layout isn't built for high drama. It's meant to thrive with just a little sun, time, and heart. If you're wondering whether you can create something like this yourself, the answer is a soft and simple yes. What you see here is a genuine, down-to-earth idea. Something anyone could do with a weekend, some mulch, and a dream. Further along this journey, we find a second home, nestled under the light shadow of a maple tree. Here, gravel takes the place of grass. Ornamental grasses, lavender, and wild shapes blend gently with the stones, creating a low-water, low-fuss haven. There's a bench, resting beneath dappled light, inviting you to sit a while. No harsh lines, no sharp contrasts, just soft movement and the calm hum of solar lights waiting for evening. Everything about this place feels respectful of the land, of the time it takes to grow something good. This isn't a showcase garden, it's a real home, with real needs and a layout that listens to them. These are the kinds of front yards that understand daily life. No one is watering for hours. No one is pruning every Sunday. The beauty lies in how forgiving and enduring the space can be. The third front yard in this quiet collection offers yet another variation of the theme. A clean, red-mulched canvas under crisp shrubs, flanked by a modest sidewalk and a classic white mailbox. Each plant knows its place. It's not overly layered, nor overly trimmed. It's just enough. The sort of setting that doesn't demand attention but earns it with its consistency, with its soft rhythm. For those wondering if this can be replicated, it can. And that's the point. None of these gardens were made to be untouchable. They're meant to be lived in. Please remember, I'm not here to give you flawless perfection or unreachable designs. I'm simply sharing real, thoughtful ideas that you can build yourself, right where you are. You don't need a professional landscaper or a truckload of exotic plants. You need patience, planning, and a willingness to begin. In 2025, beauty in the front yard isn't about trends. It's about feeling at home before you even step inside. And that feeling, it's something you can grow with your own hands. Drought-tolerant front yard plants for 2025. There is a unique kind of beauty in gardens that embrace the sun without needing constant care. Gardens that flourish not in spite of the heat, but with it. In the first scene, we are greeted by golden barrel cacti glowing under a bold midday sky, standing like living sculptures atop a lush carpet of creeping thyme. Around them, lavender sways gently while an agave stretches its arms wide, grounded and unbothered. There's no lawn here, no thirsty grass demanding attention. Only gravel, texture, and intention. A terracotta pot near the walkway bursts with vivid blooms, a soft contrast to the rugged greenery around it. What you're seeing here isn't perfection from a catalogue. It's a real, possible garden. Something you could recreate with patience and purpose. Moving along, another home tells a slightly different story. A modern layout, deliberate and rhythmic, filled with clean rows of ornamental grasses, red yucca, and softly glowing mulch. There's structure in the spacing, elegance in the restraint. The plants speak quietly, holding their place with dignity. You might notice the small sign that reads Waterwise Garden, and that's exactly what this is. A landscape that understands water is precious, time is limited, and beauty can still be abundant. If you're wondering whether this design is realistic, rest assured, every element here was chosen for sustainability. These ideas are meant to inspire practical action, not just admiration. And then, the final garden, rustic, grounded, and wrapped in warmth. A winding gravel path meanders toward a wooden front door, flanked by clouds of sagebrush and purple penstemon. The stone borders are imperfect, but they belong. The lavender spills over like soft whispers. This yard doesn't need to be tamed. It's alive in its natural rhythm. The shadows are long, the air feels dry but kind, and the mood is one of stillness. This isn't just landscaping, it's an embrace of what's real and available. A moment of grounded creativity. Please know, what I'm sharing here isn't a blueprint for perfection. These are honest, down-to-earth ideas, the kind that make sense for real people with real lives. No heavy irrigation systems, no endless maintenance. Just good choices, layered with heart. In 2025, a beautiful front yard isn't measured by how much you water. It's by how well you listen to your space and how gracefully it responds. Layered Greenery front yard design inspiration. Some gardens don't bloom with flowers, they bloom with form. And in these three landscapes, The beauty doesn't come from color alone, but from texture, shape, and the quiet choreography of greenery layered with intention. The first yard welcomes you like a soft breath. Hostas in gentle curves, ferns nestled among tall grasses, and each plant layered as if nature had whispered where they should go. The bed flows in a wide arc, framed by rich mulch and crisp lawn edges. There's no sculpture, no showpiece, only the garden itself, alive and whispering. This design is simple in soul, but powerful in effect. And yes, it's entirely achievable. What you see is not a professionally staged dream, but an idea meant for everyday gardeners ready to shape their own green canvas. Then there's the craftsman-style home, stately and warm with its deep green siding and weathered porch. The layering here is bolder, with deep burgundy coral bells and compact evergreens providing contrast and rhythm. A Japanese maple offers a canopy of red lace above. There's a quiet discipline to this space, where shrubs, perennials, and understory trees live side by side without chaos. This balance is not impossible to achieve. It simply requires a little planning and a sense of patience. If you're watching this and thinking, could I do something like this? The answer is yes. This isn't a fantasy. It's a practical invitation to step outside and begin. And finally, a more formal composition. Trimmed boxwoods lining up like a green procession, broken only by bursts of hydrangea in soft pink and purple. The pathway is flanked by low hedges, each layer rising a little higher toward the house. It feels classic, fresh, and lovingly tended. The symmetry, the spacing, everything looks measured but not rigid. Gardens like this don't ask for perfection. They ask for consistency, for care. And while they may look polished, they are built step by step, season by season. What's shared here is a slice of possibility, something you can recreate with tools you already own. I want to gently remind you, these aren't just images to admire. They're ideas you can bring to life. The designs shown here aren't out of reach or dependent on a big budget or landscape crew. They are approachable, rooted in real life, and well suited to anyone who wishes to transform their front yard into something quietly spectacular. Because sometimes, the most beautiful front yards don't scream for attention. They simply invite you to pause, breathe, and stay a little longer. Modern Front Yard Pathway Designs 2025. Some paths are not just ways to get from A to B. They are invitations to approach slowly, to notice the way evening light spills across the gravel, to appreciate the rhythm between one stone and the next. In the first design, you'll notice the warmth of late afternoon sun embracing a minimalist path of spaced pavers. Small tufts of thyme fill the gaps, offering softness to the geometry. The crushed gravel feels natural underfoot, clean yet organic, echoing the home's neutral palette. This space isn't loud or bold, it's thoughtful. The placement of every element feels measured but effortless. If you're wondering, yes, this is an idea you can make your own. This isn't an architectural fantasy. It's an example of what careful simplicity can achieve. Next, we see a pathway that plays with pattern. Alternating tones of black and white create a bold, zigzag effect that leads you in with personality. Yet even in its modernity, there's softness. Rounded shrubs and clusters of succulents hug the edges, grounding the strong lines with nature's more gentle language. A single lantern stands watch mid-path, ready for nightfall. This yard is proof that modern can still feel inviting, and this kind of design, though it may look sophisticated, is absolutely doable for a homeowner with vision and a free weekend. Then comes a more traditional face of modernity. Smooth concrete slabs with dark gravel lines acting like quiet pauses between footsteps. Ornamental grasses lean toward the light, while small solar lights gently mark the rhythm. It's clean, precise, yet comforting. The kind of path that makes guests slow down. There's a certain grace in the curve of it, as if the garden is guiding you, not just letting you pass. Please keep in mind, what I'm sharing here are not grand designs only possible with a professional crew. These are simple, balanced, and practical inspirations that can be reimagined in your own front yard. I'm offering these ideas not as blueprints, but as visual starting points, approachable dreams shaped by real-world materials. In the end, a front yard pathway is more than stone. It is the first sentence in the story of your home. Front yard lighting ideas for night charm. As the sky slips quietly into twilight, something magical begins to happen in the front yard. It's not loud. It doesn't sparkle or boast. It simply glows, steady and warm, like a silent invitation to come closer. The first home sits quietly at the end of the path, its soft solar lights pooling gently on the lawn like puddles of moonlight. The stone walkway, slightly irregular and charming in its shape, leads to a porch lit just enough to comfort, but never to overwhelm. This kind of lighting doesn't demand attention, it suggests presence. For those who often think exterior lighting is about brightness, here's a different story. Sometimes it's about gentleness. And if you're wondering, yes, this idea is something you could bring to life with just a few simple changes. No hard wiring, no design degree, just intention. The second yard paints a slightly bolder picture. A delicate Japanese maple stretches into golden spotlight, each leaf illuminated like stained glass. Beside it, a stone bench rests quietly, waiting for someone to sit and listen to the night. Around the scene, pebbles and plants reflect the warm light. Everything feels hushed, yet alive. This arrangement is proof that a small number of well-placed fixtures can do more than flood a space. They can shape mood, create memory. While it may look poetic, it's grounded in reality. I'm sharing this as an inspiring idea you could make your own with patience, a little planning, and a few evening hours to test your light angles. Then we find ourselves in the third setting, a gently winding path flanked by soft amber glows, leading to a home that radiates hospitality. There's no cinematic drama here, no exaggerated post-production. Just the honest ambience of dusk, captured as it truly appears. Porch lights spill warmth, pathway lamps stretch shadows across lavender and grass. Everything feels balanced, human, real. This isn't just a guide for lighting, it's an ode to how we welcome the night. The suggestions shown here are not exclusive to high-end landscaping. They're concepts that everyday homeowners can recreate. My goal is not to sell perfection, but to offer you practical beauty that's within reach. Because sometimes, all it takes to transform a front yard into a moment of wonder is a little light in the right place. Naturalistic front yard planting ideas. Some gardens are not crafted, they're grown into. They don't aim for symmetry or control, but instead, they whisper with wildness. They sway, spill, soften, and in that softness, they speak of peace. In the first setting, a narrow stone path winds gently between walls of wildflowers, where coneflowers, daisies, and yarrow dance freely under the muted sky. The house, built of warm stone and thyme, watches quietly as bees do their morning work. There are no clipped borders here, no strict color schemes, only rhythm. The kind of rhythm you feel more than see. This isn't a landscape you measure, it's one you enter. And yes, you can bring this feeling to life in your own yard. It doesn't take a master plan, only a willingness to loosen your grip on perfection. Next, we arrive at a circular bed glowing in the morning sun. Mounds of goldenrod, frothy yarrow, and tall grasses form layers like waves in a still sea. In the center, a humble birdhouse stands watch, reminding us that gardens aren't just for people. This little meadow breathes freely, unbound by edges or rules. The plants are native, the textures mixed, and the entire space is alive with quiet movement. While it may look like it sprang up on its own, this design was carefully imagined. And yes, it's a completely realistic project for any homeowner with a sunny patch and some patience. I'm simply sharing the kind of garden that listens as much as it grows. Finally, a gravel path stretches into a sea of blooms. Black-eyed Susans, purple coneflowers, salvia, and lavender tumbling in soft clusters on either side. It doesn't try to impress, it welcomes. This yard doesn't shout design. It whispers belonging. The trees are young, the garden informal, yet everything feels rooted. There's mulch around the edges, but no rigid structure. It's this blend of wild beauty and thoughtful spacing that makes it work. This is not a dream garden captured by drones or perfected in Photoshop. It's an honest, livable idea, one that any viewer could step outside and begin building, plant by plant. And that's really the heart of this series, to give you not a checklist, but a vision. These gardens aren't here to compete with one another. They exist to inspire what might be possible where you live. Every garden shown here is a real-world idea that's practical to create with your own hands, over time, in your own rhythm. Let nature soften the space between your home and the world. It only asks to be invited. Cozy seating ideas for small front yards. Sometimes, comfort begins with the simplest corner. Imagine stepping outside your front door to find a little wooden bench waiting quietly under the shade of a potted tree. The sun is soft, casting gentle patterns across a gravel path. A ceramic cup rests on a book. The cushion is slightly indented from yesterday's rest, and nearby, terracotta pots brim with pansies and marigolds, spilling their cheerful color across the stones. It's not grand, but it's real, and it invites you to sit, breathe, and just be. Creating such a space doesn't require a large budget or professional help. It just takes intention and a bit of heart. This isn't a set from a movie. It's a practical idea that you could recreate with your own hands and local materials. That's what this series is all about. Sharing beautiful, livable ideas that anyone could realistically adopt in their own space. Then, as the day fades into twilight, there's magic in the way a bistro table glows beneath a canopy of string lights. Vines gently climb the lattice walls, their leaves curling toward the warmth. The teapot is warm, A book lies open, and the stillness is not silence but peace. It's the kind of nook that whispers to you after a long day, saying, "This is enough." This image, though simple, reminds us how intimacy can bloom even in small footprints. With a few bricks, a couple of chairs, and a vine or two, you can create your own evening retreat. No designer needed, only your own rhythm and a bit of patience. And finally, look at how a single swing chair, suspended from a humble pergola, can turn a blank wall into a sanctuary. Golden light spills across the cushions as shadows stretch and soften. A lantern flickers nearby, waiting for dusk. There's no artifice here, no digital magic. Just a real, thoughtful setup you could bring to life in your own front yard. Please note, these are simply inspirations, grounded in reality and meant to be achievable. We're not promising perfection, only sharing ideas that feel possible, soulful, and deeply human. So whether your space is large or small, formal or wild, remember this. Beauty lives in presence, in comfort, and in the care you bring to your surroundings. Let your front yard be a reflection of that. Beautiful front yard ideas for 2025. There's a certain kind of magic that lives in quiet front yards, not the grand, cinematic kind, but the everyday kind. The kind that greets you softly when you come home, or invites you to pause when you need a moment to exhale. It begins with a bench, tucked beneath a slender tree, surrounded by terracotta pots of cheerful blooms. A simple wooden bench offers a place to just be. A cushion rests patiently. A book lies open beside a cooling cup. This isn't designed for show. It's comfort made visible. The kind of corner that doesn't ask for attention, yet somehow gathers light and stillness like a ritual. These elements, a bench, a few potted flowers, and a blanket thrown across, aren't far from reach. They're gestures you can recreate yourself, with care more than cost. A few steps away, a black metal bistro table sits on aged brick. A vine climbs the lattice behind it, as string lights hum their golden lullaby above. Evening settles in slowly, and so does the mood. A teacup, a journal, nothing more, yet nothing missing. It's the kind of vignette that encourages presence over perfection. In sharing this, I don't mean to sell an illusion. Rather, I hope to remind you that the most beautiful spaces are often the most attainable. Then there's the swing, a gentle cradle for thought, woven in white rope and kissed by golden hour light. Hung from a pergola beam, surrounded by quiet planters and the whisper of grass, it invites a slower kind of joy. You don't need a large yard for this. You don't need luxury. You need only a beam, a chair, and permission to rest. If you've ever dreamed of a peaceful place to read or rock gently into the evening, perhaps this is your sign, not from me, but from the way light falls on home. And when the sun begins to dip, the story continues, this time through light. Lanterns line a walkway like gentle guardians of calm. Their flickering glow dances just above the garden edge, casting shadows on yellow petals and low hedges. They don't overwhelm, they guide. And they don't require more than a few steady hands and battery candles. If you've ever wondered whether you could recreate this warmth, the answer is yes, you absolutely can. Near the doorstep, brass lanterns stand tall beside rosemary and a welcome mat. Their soft reflection feels both refined and deeply familiar. There's elegance in their weight, yes, but also honesty. The kind that doesn't pretend to be anything other than what it is. An open-hearted invitation to come closer. And along the edge of another flower bed, shepherd hooks cradle vintage lanterns as the last light of day slips quietly into twilight. Mums bloom beneath them. A wreath rests quietly on the porch behind. It feels like a memory you haven't made yet, but could. Please know, I share these scenes not as prescriptions, but as open ideas. These are not staged dreams out of reach. They're real inspirations grounded in simplicity. You can bring them to life, in your own way, with your own hands, in your own time. Sometimes, beauty in the front yard isn't about grandeur. It's about intention, a soft light, a place to sit, a sense of welcome. And maybe, just maybe, a bit of quiet joy planted along the path home. Luxury Look Pathways for Front Yards 2025. There's something magical about the way a front yard welcomes you home. In the early hours of a new day, soft light dances across herringbone bricks, gently guiding your steps along a curved path bordered with tulips bursting in scarlet, gold, and violet. It feels like walking through a painting, not grandiose, but honest. The pathway leads not only to your door, but also to a quiet sense of pride. This kind of luxury doesn't shout. It whispers calm, order, and a touch of joy. If you're wondering whether you could try something like this, the answer is yes. These ideas are offered as realistic, achievable inspiration that you can adapt to your own space with a little effort and care. Further ahead, minimalism finds its own rhythm. A modern home stands serene, its entry framed by structured lines and clean symmetry. Here, large stepping stones hover above gravel like floating notes in a quiet melody. Tiny green herbs soften the geometry, growing in between, bridging nature and man-made texture. Black pebbles outline the form, creating just enough contrast to feel intentional. This isn't a far-off designer vision. It's a layout that many homeowners could recreate with local materials, a weekend, and thoughtful planning. Then comes the warmth of a traditional welcome. A stamped concrete walkway leads you forward, its slate-inspired pattern understated yet solid. On either side, evergreen boxwoods hold their shape confidently, and solar lights prepare to take over when dusk arrives. It's neat, dependable, charming in its simplicity, the kind of design that ages gracefully over time. If you've ever stood at your own front step imagining how to make it more beautiful, this is the kind of change you might actually bring to life. These aren't concepts meant to stay locked inside Pinterest boards or design magazines. They're meant to inspire homeowners and garden lovers alike. Ideas grounded in reality, beautiful and entirely doable. We share these with the hope that you'll see not just what's possible, but what's possible for you. Because beauty at the entrance of your home isn't about scale or budget. It's about intention and the quiet joy of arriving. Space-saving vertical garden front yard ideas. In quiet corners of suburban yards, where space whispers instead of shouts, creativity blossoms vertically. These gardens don't stretch outwards, they reach upward, like poetry climbing a wall, turning blank facades into lush, living canvases. The first image tells a story of function woven with beauty. Wooden tiers fastened neatly to a fence cradle basil, mint, parsley, a living kitchen garden that breathes life into a compact space. Below, gravel underfoot provides balance, and a watering can wait like a faithful companion, reminding us that simplicity is not the absence of beauty, but its root. It's a setup anyone can replicate. These kinds of ideas aren't just daydreams. They're approachable, useful, and tangible with a bit of patience and basic tools. Turn the view slightly and you'll find a wall of possibilities. Metal grids support rows of black grow pockets bursting with petunias and nasturtiums. A cheerful wall that greets guests and sunbeams alike. A single chair and a spotted mug rest nearby, perhaps left behind after a slow morning. The scene isn't curated for a magazine. It's authentic. It invites you to imagine your own version, whether by using fabric pockets, wooden planters, or even repurposed containers. Just a few square feet and sunlight, and you can build this on any wall facing your yard. Then there's the charming corner made of stacked wooden crates, weathered, reused, and filled with greenery. The scene is warm and lived in. Trailing vines spill like laughter from the top shelves. Gnomes stand guard over tiny vegetables and potted geraniums. It's quirky, it's personal, and more importantly, it's realistic. Not every garden needs to be pristine. Some grow better with character. Of course, I'm not saying you need to copy these exact scenes. What I'm offering here are seeds of inspiration. Small, doable ideas that fit within real lives and real front yards. Every project shown here can be recreated with patience, modest materials, and a willingness to experiment. You don't need vast land or a landscaping crew. Sometimes, a fence, a few pots, and a spark of intent are all that's needed to begin. Let the walls of your home become the trellises of your imagination. If this video meant something to you, please know that subscribing means the world to me. You're not just supporting content, you're supporting a dream that keeps my family going. Thank you, truly. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you enjoy the most? Is there anything I could do better to keep inspiring or simply entertaining you? Your feedback helps this channel grow with heart and purpose. Let me know in the comments. I read every one.